Hey, everybody, and welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. This is Katie Weaver, and I'm here with my partner in crime and co anchor and sister, Kristi Brower. Hello, how are you?
Hello. You know what? I am great. I am excited to be here. You've been pumping me up for this case. I don't know anything about it, but you keep telling me you're going to freak out over this case. So I'm very
Hmm.
excited about that.
Yeah,
Other than that, I'm doing great. Doing great. Just living the life.
well, good. I like it. Well, good. Well, you just left my house a while ago. We actually
I
had
did,
a
yeah.
family gathering today and finally
Hmm.
had enough, COVID-free days for everyone to get together and celebrate your birthday. So,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
lots of
That
good
was
stuff.
awesome.
Yeah. And big news at my house today. We
Yes.
My 20-year-old son, we've been looking for a puppy for him. He has some depression and really needs a companion animal. And it's hard for these kids that go off to college that have lived in a house full of animals to go
Hmm.
to houses without them, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of his homesickness has been for the dogs and
Hmm.
yeah, me, but but mostly for the dogs.
Sure.
And earlier this year, our daughter got a dog. Where she lives, she could have one. And his roommate has a cat, and it really got him to thinking, could I? So he sent his
Mhm.
roommate or his landlord a letter and let him know that he would really like to get a small dog, and that he just wondered what the possibility of that would be. And he was great. So we've
Yeah.
been on the hunt. So it's been a while. I mean, my youngest dog is Rico, who is 7, and we rescued him. So we haven't really been in the market for a puppy in a long time
Yeah.
because Matea bought her puppy from my sister-in-law. So there was no, hunt.
Yeah.
Holy moly. We did try to rescue. We have combed every rescue shelter everywhere, but the needs we had, we weren't able to fulfill. And filling out applications was a little daunting because his situation is, well, not one that a lot of shelters were willing to, uh,
Yeah.
which sucks because he'll be so good. And he does have a fenced
Oh,
yard.
he
And
will.
I have no question that he'll be very successful with this kid.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
also know that if he got in a position where he couldn't have her, she'd always have a home, at
Yeah.
my house. And so, but anyway, rescues, they don't want to see an animal needing rescued again, which is totally
Right.
understandable. But it made
Mhm.
it hard for him. But my goodness, everything we were seeing was $500, $1,000,
Yeah.
$3,000. And so well out of his price range. But anyway, we found the puppy last night. We
Yay.
discovered, and what's so funny about it is that he's home now working. He's about 5 hours from where he lives where he goes to college. We actually found the puppy in his college town. And it happens to be someone who lives 2 blocks from him. So how weird is that? Not
That
people
is
he
really
knows.
funny.
Yeah, not people he knows. We
Right.
found them online. But so our daughter who lives down there went and scoped it out this morning, bought the puppy, and she's staying with her for a week until we can go down. But anyway, he got a puppy, and she
Yeah.
is a Shih Tzu Chihuahua mix.
Oh, she's so cute.
She's black and tan. She is absolutely precious. He wants to name her Layla. The girls hate that, and they're begging him to name her something else. But you know how it is. He'll probably name her Layla.
Probably.
But
For sure.
so she is adorable. We can't wait to get our hands on her. So yeah,
Oh,
very
yeah.
exciting business.
Yeah. That's really fun. I can't wait to meet her.
Me too. And she will be the perfect companion for him.
Yeah. She really will. I think so.
Yeah. So that's what's new in my world.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
A new grand dog. So we're pretty excited.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what do you say? Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
So this
I'm
is a
dying
whole
to hear.
it's so wild because it's a criminal who had a crime committed upon him. So it's
Ah,
this will be interesting. So this case came up for me in my feed when I was searching for cold cases, and I this one just looked so interesting to me, and I opened it up and started to do the research and discovered that it actually happened like 30 miles from my house. So
oh
what
my
the
gosh.
hell?
Right?
Had no idea. That's not why it was in my feed, but anyway, so crazy. So this is a cold case from 1916.
Okay.
But I'm going to actually start a little sooner than that. So in the 70s, there was a family that was digging for arrowheads in a cave in Clark County, Idaho. Clark County is near me, in a little tiny town called Dubois. So right outside
Oh,
of Dubois,
sure.
there's a cave called Buffalo Cave.
Mm.
It sounds like it's a pretty deep cave, but it's one that's accessible that people go into for whatever, you know.
Mm.
I have not
Mhm.
been there. If it wasn't winter, I would go there and get some pictures, but it's
Yeah, I've
definitely
never been
not
there.
going to
I mean, I've
be.
been to Dubois, but I've never been to this cave. We'll have to check it
It's
out.
well, it's up closer to Spencer.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay.
Spencer, Idaho is a place that has world renowned opal, full of opal.
Mhm.
So Buffalo Cave isn't far from there. So
Okay.
anyway, this time of year it would definitely be
Yeah,
buried, but
impossible.
yeah. But anyway, so in 1979, a family was digging for arrowheads, and they dug up something that they a little more than they bargained for. Definitely wasn't arrowheads. It was a dismembered torso.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, a little concerning,
That would be a
and
bit of a shocker
I
when
think
you're
so.
just looking for arrowheads. Yeah.
Yeah, a bit horrifying. Holy shit,
Mhm.
actually, right?
Yeah.
And so the
I don't know. You and
torso,
I would probably be like, "Oh my god, this is the coolest thing we ever saw." But
right?
most
And our
people would
kids
probably
would
be like, "Ugh."
run the 30 miles home. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it was wrapped in a burlap sack and it was dressed. It was dressed in dark pants and a pinstriped shirt and a maroon sweater. It was buried in a shallow grave about 18 inches deep and was kind of mummified, was really, like
Mhm.
dark leathery skin. So of course they call the police and the police come and they take this body, the torso. They don't have any idea who it is or what to do with it. They take it to Idaho State University to a lab there and basically they just hang on to it. So then fast forward to 1991. There are people messing around in that cave and an 11-year-old girl, God bless her and help her, found a mummified hand
Oh God.
in the same cave system. I'm just thinking
They
about if my
thought.
kid found that. Oh my God,
Oh, she would never recover.
there wouldn't be enough therapy or
So
or dogs for this. Yeah,
no. So the university didn't like go looking to see if there were more bones.
no,
Nothing. Like no
they
one
did
went
not excavate the cave. No,
and the police weren't like, "Hey, maybe somebody got murdered." Like this is
maybe.
weird.
What is there like a head to this or yeah?
Yeah.
No, they
Yeah.
just took the torso and that was it.
Wow.
All right.
Weird. Okay.
But this time, when the mummified hand surfaced, they went ahead and started digging. And they found an arm
Yeah.
and two legs, all wrapped in burlap in the same area of the cave.
Oh
So,
wow.
anthropology experts from Idaho State University and the Smithsonian, not the Jeffersonian, bones did not come, but.
No. That's a TV show, but
and
okay.
the Okay, well, it just doesn't seem
It would
like
have
it.
been cool. It would have been cool.
Right?
I heard.
We needed Bones and Booth on this job.
Yes, we did.
Well, the FBI also came. So they came and they really did a wide search of the cave this time and no head, no
Mm.
head. But they did some work on the body at that point to discover that, yes, it was male. And they still didn't know very much. But at the end of 2019, they had a breakthrough. So the Idaho State Police and the the Idaho State University and the Clark County Police had reached out to the Doe Project to help them with the DNA sequencing.
Okay.
So they did that, did the forensic genealogy. And by building a genealogical tree and looking at historical records and, familial DNA,
Here we are again.
they were able to connect the body to a man named Henry Joseph Loveless. Henry Joseph Loveless. It's just
Okay.
so wild because we had a great-grandfather named Henry Joseph Byington. When I read Henry Joseph, I was like, oh, what the? No, close. No cigar. So his parents where his mother was born in England and his dad was born in Ohio. His parents were Mormon pioneers that crossed the plains,
Okay.
and they landed in Payson, Utah, but he ended up coming all the way up into Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
And
For the
before,
mining, maybe, or something like that.
I think mining, yeah. When he was still in Utah, he had a wife and 2 children, and he got into bootlegging, and she'd had enough of him and divorced him for non-support or abandonment.
Mm.
Then he moved to Idaho, and he got married again and was living in Clark County.
Okay.
And while he was in Clark County, he married again and had a few children, 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
He married a woman named Agnes Octavia Caldwell.
Okay.
And yeah. And then he'd already been in jail a few times. He'd been in jail for bootlegging, and he had escaped imprisonment a couple of times from other areas by sawing through jail bars with a knife that he kept in his shoe. So he was kind of known for breaking out of jail and getting away. He also had multiple aliases.
Okay.
And at the time, it was a little fuzzy about what his name actually was.
Okay.
There was some confusion about that, but they finally put together that he was in jail under a different name. And had been in jail a couple of times under a different name. But his real name was Henry Joseph Loveless. So he kind of built this, a bunch of confusion around him, you know. But one of the ways that they tracked this back to him was that they had a wanted poster from the big crime, which I'll tell you about here in a minute. But the wanted poster said that he was wearing dark pants and a pinstripe shirt and a maroon sweater.
Ooh, that's a clue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So then they actually found his grandson, who is now 87 years old, had no idea that he had a grandpa that was quite the criminal. But
Wow.
at any rate, this is but why was he in jail?
Yeah.
Well, he was in jail because he took an axe to Octavia and murdered her.
Oh, good Lord.
Yep. So her name was Agnes Octavia Caldwell Loveless.
Okay.
And he killed her with an axe. And he was arrested and put into the jail in St. Anthony, Idaho, which you may know is also where Chad Daybell is in jail. However, I'm sure the jail is not the same place. But
probably not.
That's where the county seat was at the time. So he was in jail there. And he slipped the jail, which one of his children at Agnes's funeral said that Papa never stayed in jail very long and he'll be out soon. And he was.
Oof.
And he was never seen again. No one ever knew what happened to him. His children had no idea what happened to him. He was just gone. But they found him in the same clothes he escaped from jail in. And so investigators don't think
why he was wearing that kind of outfit in jail.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing at that time they didn't put you in jail clothes.
I guess.
You still wore street clothes, I'm guessing. But so there was a manhunt for him at the time, but he was just in the wind. So there were some theories at the time about what happened, but he was such a good escape artist that mostly they just thought that he, escaped again. But that leads us to the next big question. What happened to him? How did he end up in that cave in many pieces? And where's his head? So those are all the questions that have gone completely unanswered for all of these years. And it is still considered a cold case because they don't have a clue what happened to him. We know what he did, but we don't know what happened to him or how he ended up back in that cave in Clark County. Now, know that St. Anthony, where he was in jail, and where he was found in that cave are probably 20, 30 miles apart.
Yeah, maybe more.
At least, maybe more. Yeah, more than 30, actually, probably.
Yeah, probably more like 50, I would think.
And this is in 1916. The transportation was very different here in Southeast Idaho at the time. Now, it was in the spring, in May, so that there probably wasn't snow. But up into that cave, though, there could have been, even in May, So anyway, lots of questions. So that's the cold read I'm lobbing at you to get a feel for what happened to Henry Joseph Loveless.
Well, this was definitely a revenge killing. I do feel like it was someone related to his wife, a family member of hers who had had absolutely enough of his shit. I do feel like he lied his way into a ride from St. Anthony to out to the Dubois area. I don't feel like he walked that or anything. I do feel like he got somebody to take him.
Like he is the one that broke himself out of jail.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, 100%. He did that himself.
Mm-hmm.
He was a con man, and he was very good at getting people to do things they wouldn't normally do. I feel like that was really his skill. And we've seen that in other people that, just really have a skill to talk their way into or out of anything. And he was one of those people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like he often got help when he was escaping from other prisoners and from jail employees and that kind of thing, because he was just really good at manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like his ability to manipulate was finally came to a close when a family member of Agnes, right?
Agnes Octavia. I think they called her Octavia. From looking at Find a Grave and at her obituary and stuff, it looks like they called her Octavia.
Yeah. Okay. So this was a family member of Octavia. It's either it's either brother or father, and I'm not 100% sure, but it's a close relative. He was headed back to get his children, which seems weird because I don't think he really gave a damn about his kids. But what he did give a damn about was ownership of things. Mm-hmm. And so he wanted his children. And he got somebody, convinced somebody that was already going that way to give him a ride. Mm-hmm. But when he got there to get his kids, what he didn't realize is that, there were family members taking care of them and trying to protect them. And he couldn't just march right back into their lives. They were not going to tolerate that. Mm-hmm. And a family member of Octavia's killed him, dismembered him, and buried him. I do feel that his head is also buried. It's just not in the cave. They buried the head somewhere else. They were really trying to conceal his identity because they wanted the narrative that he just disappeared off into wherever, after escaping from prison. They just felt like that would save them, which it entirely did. Mm-hmm. He didn't, that very few people, only people within that family even knew that he had come back in that area. Uh-huh. And so they killed him, buried his head, dismembered him, sort of broke him up a bit to make it even harder to identify him. That was the goal all along, because they just wanted law enforcement to believe that he had just basically absconded for his own good. And he didn't come back for his kids for a good reason. He was an ass. He was a bad dude. He was. Yeah. There's no getting around that. There's not anything that I feel in him that was like, oh, he's deep down, he's good, he's just misunderstood or what. No. Oh,
no redeeming quality.
Yeah, he was. But that's what happened. Somebody in her family finally got revenge. Yeah. And I feel like other people in the family knew that this was a secret that was carried on, for a long time, that there were family members that knew exactly what had happened and knew where he was, and they just never said a word. And they moved on with their lives, and they took care of his children. And
they felt like he deserved it, and
the world was
better off without him. And
they certainly did. Yeah, they certainly did. And at this point, they were trying to not only avenge Octavia's death, but to protect the children. Yeah, like that. At least if they could be raised by people who loved them and be cared for, that hopefully they wouldn't turn out to be like their father.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like there's this big family secret energy around it. Like
Yeah.
there are members of this family who know.
Yeah.
And, I mean, not that it would be even relevant now, but I feel like that there are still some stories told in that family that, if you talk to the right person and they were not afraid, they might tell you that they've known all along where he was.
Yeah. Very interesting. Well, his parents did something interesting.
Oh, really?
They put a cenotaph in the Payson Cemetery and dated it 1916.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting. They, I think, knew he was dead or, had a pretty good idea of it. But yeah, so it is kind of interesting. It doesn't have, oh no, I'm sorry. It doesn't have a death date on it. I'm just looking at it. I'll share it with you guys too so you can see it. But
they did, say we know he's dead.
Yeah, but they did put a cenotaph in the cemetery, which caused a little bit of confusion for researchers as well because there's a headstone for this person, but then they discovered it is actually a cenotaph. And that's what that means if you ever hear that. If there is a monument or a headstone in a cemetery for someone whose body's not actually there, that's what it's called, is a cenotaph. Yeah.
My sense of it is that both families wanted to put the whole thing to bed. And so it was very easy for everyone to just pretend like he disappeared and move on with their lives. This was a blessing to them. He had caused so much harm in their family.
Yeah.
And they just wanted it to be over. And I feel like that was as true of his parents as it was of Octavia's family. I just think everybody was like, we're ready to be done with this. We're never going to speak of it.
So maybe they need to look outside of the cage for the head. They've actually
It's definitely there. It's definitely there, but it's not near the cave. Like I feel like it's on the property where he was killed. And they did that quickly, to make sure that he wasn't identifiable. I do feel he was clubbed over the head. That's how he died.
Well, I can only imagine him showing back up to that property and there being a fight,
Yeah. Oh yeah, there definitely was.
Yeah.
There definitely was. But yeah, if you could ever figure out where that property was, you'd find his head.
I totally agree with you on this, on your assessment. I suspect that they figured he was coming back. That, they had their reinforcements ready because they figured that he
he's escaped from jail a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And even his kids knew,
Yeah. When they mapped out the cave after the hand was found, they actually used, they've actually searched it again. And because they really would like to find that skull, but they actually brought in an osteologist from the Idaho Virtualization Laboratory.
Oh, wow.
They have an apparatus called the Faro Focus 3D laser scanner.
Wow.
That they use to make a detailed computer model of excavation sites. And they used that to survey the dark depths of this cave to try to find any other bones or, evidence that might be there. That's how they came up with the other hand and arm and leg that they found. Yeah, pretty interesting.
Yeah,
there's been quite a bit of interest in this case. And, as far as, Idaho State University has been and the Clark County Police have, continued to work it, which is pretty interesting. But of course, when people keep digging around in that cave and coming up with more body parts, something kind of has to be done.
Well, for sure. And they've got to identify, is this a contemporary body or is this an old body? Obviously there's no one to charge in his death anymore.
Right. At the time, there had been a rumor or a theory that perhaps he had been removed from jail by a vigilante party. And so, because he had a lot of enemies because of the bootlegging. But
he did, but no, he got himself out. He absolutely got himself out.
Yeah.
And he used some manipulation which I think he did every time. I don't think that he got out all of his own volition. I feel that he got some people on his side.
Mhm. That would help him out.
That would
Yeah.
help him out. Yeah.
Yep.
I feel
Yep.
like he was really, really good at that. He was a really fast talker
Oh, yeah.
and could talk people into things. And I feel like he could be very confusing. And so people didn't know quite what they were agreeing to. And,
Mhm.
just kind of that con artist energy
Yeah.
that really served him well for a long time until,
Oh, yeah. Gotten away with
when,
a lot. Mhm.
yeah, he got away with a lot. But Octavia's family had enough.
Yep.
They just had
Sure.
enough.
Yep.
And they took care of him. I mean, that's just how it feels to me. And then they just said, we'll never speak
Mhm.
of him again. We'll never say his name.
Yep.
As far as we're concerned, he's gone.
Yep. Yep. And indeed he was. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, there you have it. Joseph Henry Loveless.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Well, you guys, this is our first of 3 cases this week. And Kristi and I have both been down the rabbit hole hardcore this last week, getting these cases ready. Everything we have this week, we were very excited about. So
Yes.
make sure that you come back for our next 2. And then, of course, Wednesday night, we will have our live updates. And we have some pretty interesting Daybell updates. And we'll have some other stuff for you. And then Thursday night, sorry, we'll be back live with the Psychic Hour. So we have a lot of good stuff coming this week. So hang in there with us. And thank you so much for being here. You've been listening to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters.